welcome to episode 77 of Geeks Who Like Sports. As always, I am Ray Carso in beautiful Los Angeles, California. Joined my best friend in the entire world over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Lee Elias. Lee, how you doing today, buddy?
Doing great, brother. I'm happy to be here today. It is actually about 60 degrees right now, so I'm super happy because it's my happy temperature. And that's the weather report from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where bad things happen and good things happen any given day of the week.
Yeah, it depends on how active Gritty is. But yeah, no, it
Come by and find out.
Yeah. It's actually a cool. Actually, it started off cool here in LA. I woke up, it was 61 degrees. I was very happy about that. Went out, got some coffee, had a nice morning, and then now by around noon, it should be about 95. So.
You know, I haven't heard a lot about the fires out there recently with all the news going on. That started to die down a bit, or is it still raging?
Yeah, the fires have calmed down for the most part. There's still a couple here or there. Right. It is still a consistently unhealthy air quality. So it is recommended for you to stay indoors as much as possible if you live in the LA area. I know a lot of friends who are just new to the area are panicking because they're like, I don't know if I have COVID. I don't know if I'm sick. I don't know if it's just the air quality. I'm like, it's probably just the air quality. You're not used to it. I've been here for 9 years and from Jersey as well. Not used to it either. You don't ever get used to inhaling smoke for 3 months of the year. Yeah, that's how it's going in California. I voted today. Voted by mail. Happy about that. Got my sticker. But yeah, no, that's our weekly reminder now for you guys to, doesn't matter who you vote for or how you do it, but vote. Do it. So
have to.
Yes, you have to. And actually, I didn't do it by mail. I took the slip to the ballot, the box, the drop box. I didn't actually go to the post office. They have drop boxes set up, and I put it in there. So,
well, there you go. Listen, it's just important to make sure that you go vote, no matter how you do it, in person, absentee ballot, however you're most comfortable, but vote.
Right, exactly. Whatever makes you more comfortable. If you want to wait till the day of, wait till the day of. Although I would recommend wearing a mask and gloves, of course. Whatever. However, and again, November the 3rd is election day. So some of you, like me, you can vote earlier via other means, or you can wait and just find out your local place there. So that's our PSA for the day. But welcome to episode 77. We have a big show for you all, folks. We've got a lot of sports going on. We've got obviously football, basketball, baseball. Hockey's over, so we got really nothing to talk about there. Although the draft is supposed to be, I think today, actually.
It's tonight,
right?
7 p.m. You're going to be in Lafreniere. Right.
Spoiler, I was going to say Rangers are going to take Lafreniere, so there you go.
Yeah. If you're watching this in retrospect, I'm right.
Yeah, there's your draft analysis. But yeah, we got Mulan, we got Free Guy, Spider-Man, She-Hulk, Mario Brothers, Star Wars. It is a huge, jam-packed episode. We appreciate you all tuning in as always. But let's kick things off. I mentioned some of my friends out here not sure what's going on with the weather and how they're feeling. I think a lot of folks in the NFL are starting to feel like that because we had our first football COVID outbreak. The Tennessee Titans, of course, have been quarantined. They actually had to reschedule their game. We're starting to see schedule changes now because of this. And they were the first team to have a massive outbreak. Several players and staff members. Fortunately, they did not spread it. The Minnesota Vikings were able to play this weekend. They got their first win of the season against Houston. Who played Tennessee as they were just coming under this outbreak. Fortunately, it did not spread to them. But other outbreaks around the NFL, we also had Cam Newton get it for the Patriots, so he did not play against the Chiefs. That game was delayed by 24 hours.
They paid for it.
Yes, that was a game that the Patriots definitely could have won.
Yep.
I think if you did not have your second and third string at one point quarterback in to play the Chiefs, because the defenses played both very, very well. You'll look at the box score and it'll say 26-10, but that's because the third string quarterback threw a pick six and whatnot. If Cam Newton's in that game, that is a completely different game. Yeah. And Bill Belichick, I'm sure, is not happy about that whatsoever.
We're on to Cincinnati, right? I'm not worried about Kansas City. We're off to Cincinnati or whoever we're playing next week. But
I was going to say,
everybody knows this quote. We're on to Cincinnati.
Yes, exactly. So, and the Bills, who have looked amazing, win again. They beat the Raiders in a very tough matchup. The Raiders are starting to turn the corner, it looks like, under John Gruden.
Can we talk about the only team that matters right now in the NFL? The first place Philadelphia Eagles, with a 1-2-1 record, leading the NFC least division above all the other teams, the Cowboys, the Washington football team, and the New York Dumpster Fires. I want everybody to know it. First place in the division, 20th overall in the NFL, but number one in my heart and Philadelphia's hearts. Boy, is this a joke. Anyway, Ray, you were saying.
Yeah, I was going to say, first off, the New York Dumpster Fires wear green. We have a dumpster fire on our team.
That's fair. Yeah,
but
there is another 0-4 team in New York. That's fair.
Yes, and there's a lot more trouble with the Jets, I think, than with the Giants. The Giants just have a terrible, disgusting quarterback who shouldn't be playing in the NFL. But we're gonna get to that. We still got some other football stuff to talk about. Obviously, like you mentioned, your Eagles.
Yeah, first place.
Yeah, you beat the Niners. You beat the Niners surprisingly.
Believe me, I'm being as sarcastic as I can possibly be right now. This is embarrassing, but it's real.
No, it is. But also the Niners. This is proof that if there was any doubt that Jimmy G was the quarterback for the Niners, and all these Nick Mullins fans, the Eagles put that to rest. He looked terrible against Philadelphia's defense.
It's a dumb move. Just a dumb move.
Yeah. Well, Jimmy G is hurt. Obviously, he's hurt.
It was obvious it wasn't going to work. They played the third string quarterback in that game as well. Again, the Eagles played well. Look, I have been speaking about this, and I don't remember if I talked about it on the air, but you will back me up that this is something I have been saying, is that without the preseason, I said, and I'm not saying this is going to go true for the whole season, but there's this possibility that some of these teams will not come into their own until week 4, week 5. And again, the Eagles team that I saw playing, the first place in the division Eagles team, to be fair, joking aside, they didn't look horrible. They looked much different. They looked a little bit more like the Eagles I'm used to seeing. We were firing on all cylinders. It was a closer game than it needed to be. No way perfect. Carson Wentz looked phenomenal throughout the game. The O-line looked a lot better. You're seeing these guys start to play better now, right? And that's what I'm saying is, without that preseason, you come into this time period, maybe guys are falling into their own. San Francisco's a good football team.
Yes.
They're a very good football team.
Even with their backup QB in there, yes.
Yeah, this was not a fluke. It was a win that we earned. It wasn't like when the Cowboys won and they came back from 20 points down twice. That was what the hell was that? Eagles deserve to win this game. So I'm not saying we're going to go on a string here and win 10 in a row. I'm not saying that they're going to be an amazing team. I'm just saying that was a completely different football team than I've seen in weeks 1 through 3. Yes. So I think that just goes to show you that we have to be a little bit patient with the NFL this year in terms of talent. When it comes to the COVID outbreak, this is what I want to say about that. It was inevitable. It's going to happen if you're not in a bubble situation. Again, the NHL championed that, but it's not realistic for a full season for any league. Okay? Yeah. What the NFL is doing correctly, there's been fines already put out. There's been punishments put out already for breaking protocol. It's what Major League Baseball did not have in place. This is something that they've obviously learned from MLB what to do. And the NFL now has its scare. What they do with the scare is going to be what changes everything. The problem with MLB is just everyone had this not me approach. It's not going to happen to my team. That happened all over the place. And they finally got it under control around game 45 of 60. Yeah. They figured out, maybe we should change this up. When it comes to the NFL, punishments were administered immediately. I think the entire league got a scare out of it. They were able to move that game to Monday night, which was really a great job by the NFL to make it happen. And I got to give the teams credit, including Bill Belichick and the Patriots, for you got to play through it. That's the reality of it right now. Yeah. It was a good game for most of the game. All right. Yeah,
and the Tennessee game has been moved to later in the season. The Tennessee, I think it was Tennessee-Pittsburgh, I think.
But not sustainable if this keeps happening. To be also fair, there's been plenty of examples recently that the coronavirus doesn't care who you are.
Yeah.
You can get it.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that I think we're on the verge of a third wave here, not trying to scare anybody, but hopefully the NFL players realize that. Nobody thinks they're invincible. And we move forward, because here's the thing. Unlike baseball, if your team is missing your quarterback or you're missing important players, this is not like you miss 5 games, you still might make in the playoffs like every other team but the Phillies did in the MLB.
Right.
This is like, that could have cost the Pats very valuable real estate in the standings. Extremely valuable.
Yeah,
we won't know until the end of the season.
Yeah, no, for sure. because now we're a quarter of the way through the season. They're 2 games behind the Chiefs, and obviously the Chiefs have a tiebreaker. So if this is something looking at seeding later on, you're basically 3 games behind Kansas City. Like you said, that's a big deal. And you're also 2 games behind Buffalo now. Again, which is why I mentioned that they beat the Raiders.
We don't know if Newton's going to play next week. I doubt he will.
I highly doubt it as well.
So,
this could be, I mean, I don't want to say season ending, but definitely, possibly, I mean, if they go 2-3 and Buffalo improves to 5-0, that is a huge hole to try and come back from, even with 2 games against the Bills still coming.
You know what's funny is I can hear all the Pats fans like, yeah, and every other football fan in the NFL like, yeah. The Buccaneers won again. No, they didn't.
Yeah, the Bucs are 3-1 now.
Tom Brady. Listen,
they came back
the
against
2021-22 season.
They came back against the Chargers. They were down big, and then Tom Brady in the second half, 5 touchdown passes, only the 4th time in his career. So Tampa Bay, you tip their hat to them. They're, I think they're in first place in that division, actually.
We
the
can
Falcons
look it up.
They're at least tied with the Saints. I'm not sure what the Saints record is. I know Carolina's 2-2, and the Falcons are 0-4.
It is
other
good to
teams,
have football going. I'll tell you
yes,
that.
it
it's
is.
fun.
Also, another surprise: the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns beat up on the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm going to actually come out here and say this to anybody who's blaming Dak Prescott. It's not Dak Prescott's fault that your defense gave up 7 touchdowns. It's not. He put up 38 and 500 yards passing. That's not his fault.
I'm going to say this right now to everyone listening. Okay, there is way too much onus on the quarterback position in professional football as the do or die place to be. We have seen Super Bowls won by teams with phenomenal defenses and average quarterbacks. Flacco.
Yep.
Yeah, like we can do that. Also, I'm not saying it's not an important position, but we have got to stop making that the be-all, end-all of if our teams are winning or losing. All right, except and I'm not knocking it right. Except in New York City right now, which has been a horrendous drafting decision on Daniel Jones.
Yes,
I gave him the benefit of the doubt for a long time. He's lost that. He's not performing, but that is the problem in New York, right? That's one situation where you can say, okay, this guy's not performing. But Dak Prescott, Carson Wentz, you can go all over the league. A football team is a team.
Yeah.
And within the team, there are other teams. If the O-line is not working, if your D-line is not working, you will not win. Period.
Yep.
You will not win. All right? So you got to look at it as a whole. It's just easy. It's sexy to look at the quarterback. There's more to football than just the quarterback. Every football team I've worked with, every coach will tell you that. I hate to be a homer here. The Eagles proved that when Nick Foles came in and won the Super Bowl for us out of nowhere. Okay? Yep. It's an important position. It's not the be-all, end-all of a team. Sorry, Ray, I had to rant about that as a football coach.
It's for sure. It's very, very true. I mean, and you could even say, I would even say this. I say that the one problem the Jets don't have, I don't think Darnold is actually a bad quarterback. I think that is an example of the Jets having dumpster fires everywhere else around him.
Right.
Whereas the Giants, as we'll now get into our Giant discussion, again lose because of, and again, I know there are people who are going to be out there with the running game and the receivers and this and that. The end of the day, first off, Gallman had 42 yards on 5 carries. Give the kid the ball more. He can probably carry the load. Devontae Freeman had a nice day running the ball. Run the ball more. Stop putting the ball in the hands of Daniel Jones. Because Daniel Jones is averaging 4 yards a pass and 2 turnovers a game. Now, he didn't have 2 this week because he recovered his own fumble this week. So he only had 1, but he did have a fumble, but he fell on it this time. So it doesn't technically count as a turnover. But he also threw the intercept again. Also, by the way, and again, this is bad coaching. The Giants are down 17-9 with 4 minutes to go, and instead of kicking a field goal, making it 17-12 and kicking it away, they went for it on 4th and 11 with a quarterback that has proven he has been overthrowing his receivers the whole game. I'm talking by like 15, 20 yards. He's overthrowing his receivers.
Stupid amounts.
Yes.
Not a glove away.
Yeah.
All right. 10 yards.
Yeah, no, like it's ridiculous that how bad he's been overthrowing his receivers that game against the Rams. Kick the field goal, kick it away, and then try and win it on the next drive. Because the thing is again, the way the Giants' defense had been playing, and again, credit where it is due for once. The Giants, outside of the game against San Francisco, which again, a lot of short fields because of a lot of Danny Jones turnovers. So again, it's not all on the defense on that one. The Giants' defense has played very good this year. They've just had trouble when you keep giving them short fields, Danny Jones, when you turn it over deep in your own territory.
So, Ray, I'm going to help you I'm going to help you out here statistically to prove your point. And here's the deal. I've always been like this. I don't like to call out coaches and GMs because I always say this. We don't know what's going on. But I have a feeling that I know what's going on. What would you say, and again, you don't have to have the exact stat here. What is your defense giving up a game point-wise right now? Just on average.
Right now,
20,
low
25?
20s. Low 20s.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the deal. That's pretty good. That's pretty good for the NFL.
Usually,
Okay.
if you can give up less than 25 a game, you're going to win that game. The
yeah.
Rams, a
It's a
team
game.
that was averaging 30 points a game on offense, we held them to 17.
Right. So this is my point, all right? That defense puts your team in a position to win. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to say they're going to win. I'm trying to be a coach about this. Okay?
Right. You're not going to win every game.
Yeah. So with that said, you should be putting the onus on your defense to win the games, okay?
Yeah.
Now, what I see here is a team, and I'm calling them out. I don't usually do this. It is a team desperate because of their GM and coaching decisions in the offseason, trying to make Jones work, trying anything to make this draft pick and that situation work. And they are making him worse. I've seen New York do this before, where they are taking a new athlete, and they're doing this on the Jets too, and they are going to bury this kid because he's not ready yet. They're going to push him to the limit, and he's going to have no career because of this. The Rangers did this with Dan Blackburn.
Yeah.
Right? This has been done many times. I mean, the Jets have had so many quarterbacks they've done this with. Liner, it can go on for a while. All right? Liner wasn't young at that point, but all right, it's happened all the time. All right? And then on top of it, the GM is so desperate to make this pick work because here's the deal. His job is gone. All right? This has been some of the worst drafting and management ever. Sure, if the Giants are winning, everyone's happy. But here's the thing, and this is how NFL games and pro sports is measured. They're not winning.
Yeah.
They are not winning. Okay? Everyone's a genius when it turns out. Okay? But they're not winning. They are a bad football team on the offensive side of the ball.
Yes, on the offensive side, yes.
On the defensive side, you got something here.
Yeah.
If I'm on that team right now as a GM, I am going to enable my defense, give them confidence, because that's called laying the foundation for the future.
Yeah.
And then I'm rebuilding my offense this year. I'm telling my players, defense, you're doing a great job. We're going to continue to support you. Offense, you're fighting for your job now week to week. I'm putting people in that want to play. But no, we're enabling this kid who's not ready.
No.
The truth is this about Daniel Jones. We'll never actually know if he was going to be a good quarterback unless it's the typical situation where he gets traded and does something with another team,
right?
Which is probably not going to happen.
No.
Right? But the owners and the GM, not the owners, I'm sorry, the GM, the coaching staff of the Giants should be mortified. Going forward on 4th and 11, you're not the Eagles. Yeah. Okay? And I can say that. All right? And by the way, the Eagles trained to go on 4th down for an entire season before we culminated that in the Super Bowl year. Okay, and we still do it now because we've trained to do it. You're not ready for that situation. You've got a great defense. Ray is 100% right. You take the points. You trust your D is going to get the ball back, which I bet you they would have done.
Which, by the way, after they didn't convert the 4th and 11, you know what the defense did? They forced the Rams to go 3 and out, and the Giants get the ball back with 2 minutes left.
It's incredible.
It's like,
okay, and how do you think that makes them feel when you don't do that?
Yeah.
Okay, you just gave the game away. So now I'm having the Giants rant for you, Ray. But I'm talking in broader football sense here. Like, you know, look, guys, this is what I'm going to say to the entire audience. I'm turning into my coach here. You can tell because I'm getting pissed. All right? Yeah. I am a big believer in sport as a coach. This is how I coach. Not every coach is like this. And there are a few coaches like Bill Belichick, okay, Phil Jackson, that do not fall into this category because they are gods in the coaching space. I am a big believer. You allow the players to play the game. Yeah. If you have the ball on the goal line and you have the best running back in the sport, it is his moment. You don't take that away from him by out-coaching him. If you have a great defense, you rely on that defense. You build confidence. I'm going to make sure you get us the ball back. That's professional sports. That's high stake in it. Okay? Yep. I want the ball back. Do your damn job. Okay? Yep. What you don't do is put the ball in a guy's hands who clearly can't throw the ball the whole game. Therefore, not even giving him confidence, but quite the opposite. You're making him feel even worse. Stupid decision-making on the coaching staff's front, and I think it is to save face in that front office. You need an overhaul on the Giants right now in that GM position. You need to rebuild your offense now. starting now and enable that defense because you are good enough to win some games this year.
The Giants, in reality, I'm not saying this just because I'm a Giants fan. The Giants should be 2-2. They should have beat the Bears. They lost 17-13. Again, Daniel Jones, had a chance at the last drive of the game, and he messed it up. And we should have beat the Rams. Again, if you take the 3 points there at 17-12, and then you get the ball back with 2 minutes left, again, a chance for Daniel Jones to drive down the field and win the game. That's all you want as a quarterback and as a football team, is to have the ball in your hands with a chance to win the game on the last drive of the game. Every quarterback in the history of the NFL will take that opportunity. If you don't give them that opportunity, what are you doing? The defense, again...
You are setting them up to fail. That's
and again, the defense gave up 17 points to the Rams. You should win that game.
Yeah.
The defense gave up 17 points to the Bears. You should really win that game. But again, the Giants offense, Lee, you know how the Giants haven't scored a touchdown in 10 quarters.
I believe it.
It's been 2.5 games since they found the end zone. That is disgusting.
I will say this. Your greatest offensive threat is out. Okay, that does not help, but they didn't utilize him well either. Here's another thing, right? Just transitioning a little bit here. We talked about this. So for those of you not following the NFC least, it's a horrible division. Again, the first place team has a 1-2-1 record. So Ray and I were talking the other day, and this is where the kind of good old boys jamming club pisses me off. And again, I'm not doubting their experience. I'm doubting their lack of creativity. You have a horrendous division, all right? Yeah. Trades are not commonplace in the NFL. Nope. If there's ever been a time to make a trade, to try and better your team, you probably have a pretty good chance of winning the division right now.
Yeah.
If you trade the right players. I'm not saying sell the farm. I'm not saying give up your future. Right? But if I was the Giants, I'm probably looking for a new quarterback, looking for a new running back, anything. Or actually, I'm looking for a running back so Daniel Jones can just give him the ball. All right?
The thing is we have running backs. Gallman and Freeman are a solid 1-2 combo. Right? You got to give them the damn ball, though. Gallman, again, 5 carries, 42 yards. Give him the rock. He's averaging 8 yards a carry.
In that movie, run the damn ball. So, again, no creativity. I think if any of these teams, including the Redskins, including the Giants, if they made trades right now, you could significantly better your team and get to the postseason.
Well, and I think that's
here's the thing. If the Eagles find their stride, they will not. They are going to be the team that wins the division. And I'm not saying that as an Eagles fan.
Any other team, and I think that's really where the Giants' weakness is. I think the other 3 teams, even Washington with Dwayne Haskins Jr., I think that you have a better quarterback situation than the Giants do. And I'm going to put this out there into the ether. Dak Prescott is not happy in Dallas, and they keep franchise tagging him. Giants, it's a little out there, but maybe, what if you got the Cowboys quarterback in the offseason?
Hey, there are quarterbacks available. Experienced quarterback.
For sure. I mean, and I'll also say this. I don't know, look at Nick Foles. But, or even Mitchell Trubisky. Somebody. I'll take anybody now where that isn't Daniel Jones. Because, seriously, I do genuinely believe that a lot of these problems with the Giants offense comes down to the quarterback. And you're going to say, and people are going to say the offensive line, they gave up a bunch of sacks. 3 of those 6 sacks that was given up on Sunday was because Daniel Jones sat in the pocket, staring downfield at the same receiver, waiting for him to come open. Okay? I will say this. You gave up 3 sacks were legit on the offensive line, for sure. Also, you're facing the Rams and Aaron Donald, the best defensive line in football, arguably. Right. So you're going to give up a couple of sacks. But when Daniel Jones sits in the pocket going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, oh no, the sack's coming, and he doesn't throw the ball away, that's on the quarterback. You can't sit in the pocket for 6 seconds.
He's not ready.
No. He looks like a scared little he looks scared little kid in the backfield. He looks scared.
And the Giants are not giving him the tools to improve or succeed. I want to make sure that's a two-way thing. All right.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we spent enough time on football. We started this this topic with COVID. We're gonna move into hockey now. Connor McDavid has COVID. He's the bubble has burst officially in the NHL, so everybody's left the bubble. And now, but Connor
took him 2 months.
Connor
He's been out of the bubble for 2 months.
Yeah, no, that's true. No, he seems to be doing well. They say he's doing well. They say it is a mild case. He's okay, but he was contracted with that, so we want to send our best wishes to him. The other big hockey news this week, aside from the draft tonight, and speaking of the Rangers, Henrik Lundqvist, his tenure with New York is officially over. He was bought out. This will give the Rangers free up the room to probably re-sign Georgiev, and that'll be their two-headed monster going forward. Will be Shesterkin and Georgiev, which I do believe is the right move. As a hockey team, as a hockey fan, obviously this is heartbreaking, as this is the end of an era. I got to meet Henrik actually 12 years ago during my ESPN days when he was still young and I was still young. But you knew he was something special even then. And I hope that wherever he goes, because he still wants to play, that he goes to a contender and then he gets one more chance at a cup run. And I just want to say thank you for I mean, he set every single Ranger goaltending record. He's going to go down as one of the best all time. Unfortunately, as of right now, he's going to go down as one of the best all time to never win a cup. A Vezina winner, a finalist multiple times. For those of you who don't know, Vezina is the best goalie in the league. And it just, it's a sad end. It's not unexpected, but it's still a sad finish to what was a great career in New York, and he'll always be a legend.
Yeah, when it comes to Lundqvist, a few things to say as well. I remember the moment he came in net for the first time. I could tell you where I was. I was in my dorm at the Village at Montclair State University. Kevin Weeks was in net, and he got hurt, and this young kid, Henrik Lundqvist, came in. I'll never forget that because he was amazing.
Sixth-round draft pick.
Yep, as a Flyers fan, I'll say this. It was wonderful most of the time to watch him play his entire career. I also worked for the New York Rangers. He was a gracious and respectful human being. He was a good person, and he's a better person than he probably was a goalie. That's a great compliment that I can give him.
Yeah.
But again, end of an era. He also tweeted out that he's very much wanting to play and compete and win. All eyes are kind of on Colorado right now. The Avalanche have a goaltending situation. That is his expected destination. But as I've learned, being a hockey fan for a long time, that doesn't mean anything. If he does sign with the team, it's going to be a team that's a playoff-bound team.
Yeah.
Most likely. Or he'll do the unthinkable and go to Florida and play for the Panthers, because sometimes teams do that. But no, in all seriousness, Colorado has a goaltending situation. And you always have to look at the kind of Calgary, Vancouver area. They tend to look for teams goalies as well. But just Godspeed, Henrik Lundqvist, on the next phase of your career. And like I said, just a brilliant career in New York City. Thrived in that market. That's not something everybody can do. And we'll see what goes on next.
Yeah, no, for sure. So just wanted to mention that that's the big hockey news coming into the draft tonight. Speaking of bubbles, the other bubble going on still right now, the NBA is wrapping up. Lee and I, our predictions are still intact. We both predicted the Lakers in 5. Right now, the Lakers are up 2-1. Game 4 is also tonight. So we'll see if what happens there. But our predictions are still intact. We both said Lakers in 5. And right now, it is 2-1 LA. I still believe the Lakers will win in 5. I think LeBron, like I said, you're going to have that down game. And now LeBron's ready to bounce back. He's like, all that loss did was resharpen them, refocus them. As he said, the job's not done. And look, we know the Lakers are the team to beat, especially this year with the Kobe chip on their shoulder. They want to bring this back to LA. This seems like a foregone conclusion. Obviously, the Heat are going to do everything they can to obviously upset them, but we'll see what happens. Game 4 is pivotal, right? If they either tie the series at 2 tonight, or probably LA puts the nail in the coffin. So
yeah, we'll see. I know a lot of people giving LeBron a lot of flack for leaving the court early the other night, and my answer to that is shut up and enjoy the basketball. This guy's not a leader. I'm like, guys, just not the time. Not the time. All right, guy is a leader, and that's not something unheard of in basketball. I'll call out my own crowd. The hockey crowd loves to rip on basketball players for using I more than we, and it does happen, but it's a different sport. And players in basketball walking off the court right before a game's over, that's actually not that unheard of. That happens more often than you think. It is a different sport. It is a sport where one player can make a massive difference, as we have someone who's been in 10 of 11 finals in a row. All right, so it's just different. Again, if you're a hockey person, you're not going to agree with that, and that's okay. Just you have to acknowledge it's a different sport, and we have to stop comparing hockey to basketball, basketball to hockey, and around. It's its own thing. Yeah. Just be happy it's on. Enjoy it. It's almost over.
Yeah, it is almost over. By this time next week, we should have an NBA champion.
We will. I'm going to call it right now. We will. If we come on here next week and there hasn't been a champion crowned, I'll take credit for it.
Also, I think mathematically, Game 7 will be next Monday anyway, so there will be no matter what if there is.
That's
a Game
why
7.
I guaranteed it. But
so there should be a champion next week. We'll talk about that then. Speaking of champions, at least thus far, we're now in the next round of the baseball playoffs. We are into the divisional round.
Are we, Ray?
Yes, we are, Lee. We are.
Tell me about that, Ray.
So, very interesting. Actually, not too many upsets. The Reds lost to the Braves, which actually you feel bad for the Reds starting pitching because the starting pitching for Cincinnati was terrific. It's just they were outpitched. A couple of pitchers' duels that the Braves won.
Braves always sneak in, man. They always do that.
Yeah, so the Braves won that one. The Marlins, with their Steve Bartman or whatever cutout in the stands that they bought, beat the Cubs in both games. Again, the Cubs... Again, good pitching, but they did not hit. The bats did not show up, so the Cubs are out. The Marlins advance and still have yet to lose a playoff series in their franchise history. That's a fact. They are 7-0 in.
Don't worry, they will.
At this, yeah, probably.
Because if the Marlins win the World Series, I'm really never watching baseball again. Ever.
The Dodgers handled the Brewers very easily. No surprise there. The Padres came back against the Cardinals. The Cardinals blew leads in games 2 and 3, I believe, and the Padres came back. So it's now Sandy. Actually, in both leagues, it's divisional matchups in the divisional round. It's LA versus San Diego. It's the Marlins versus the Braves. In the American League, it's Houston already up 10. They won up 1-0 as they came back to beat up on the A's bullpen, who came back against the White Sox. After the Astros, again, put the Twins in their place because the Twins, one of those great regular season teams that always seem to choke in the playoffs. And so the Astros are up 1-0. And, of course, I've been putting this off because I know Lee wants to gloat, is that the Yankees, in a stunning fashion... Absolutely destroyed. Look, I'm not going to lie. I really thought that Cleveland had better pitching.
I
and
know
the Yankees,
you did.
The Yankees absolutely demolished them.
What I said was, if their bats come alive, and then we talked about this at the postseason,
Yes.
the Yankees are actually my favorite to win the World Series, and they are awake.
Well, at least so far, they are very much. The Yankees, in the first 3 games of the playoffs, have set a record for the most runs scored in the first 3 games of the playoffs. The other 3 teams at least made the World Series, 2 of them winning it. The 69 Mets, the 70 Orioles, both are tied for 3rd. The 60 Yankees lost in 7 to the Pirates, and now the 2020 Yankees are at 31 runs scored in 3 games.
So let me explain to everybody how this works now, because everybody has their own thing with their friends. As commercials, it's only weird if it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. So this is how the remainder of the MLS season will go for the playoffs. Is I will completely gloat about the Yankees and that I was right. And I told Ray, hey, man, the Yankees are winning. This is great. And Ray will be a miserable son of a bitch and continue to say, like, no, they're not going to win. They're not going to win. But he's going to do this on purpose because we need the combined yin-yang karma to push the Yankees to the World Series.
Yes.
So Ray will continue to be a New Yorker. And I will continue to be a fake optimist for a team that I would never root for normally, but it's my best friend, so I hope they win for him because the Phillies are not in the World Series, and yeah. So, like I said, the yin-yang, I will be optimistic. Ray will be quietly optimistic inside. He will bury that deep into his recesses and act like, no, they're not going to win, but he really wants them to win. But that is the mold that will bring the Yankees to a 20-whatever
28.
World I know what it is. Shut
hopefully
up.
World Series.
World
28.
Series title.
Pennant number
I'm
41.
helping you here. If I get mad, right? If I get mad, it doesn't work.
I know it doesn't work. I know. But here's the thing. Yeah, last night Yankees won. They won 9-3. It was a close game until the very end. They busted out in the ninth.
I went on your Twitch stream. I was like, "Who won the game?"
Yeah,
Ray?
I know.
He was like, "Yeah. The Giants won the Super Bowl in my video game for the 3rd time." So,
But what ended up happening? So. Look, Game 1 was a must-win for the Yankees because Garrett Cole was pitching. With the new schedule, that means the only time the Rays are going to see him this series is Game 1. And with the Yankee pitching staff, and this is where things in this, like I said, they have a chance because they won Game 1. Because here's the thing, I still don't, if they had lost, they were not going to win 3 of the next 4 against Tampa Bay with the Yankees' current pitching staff. I still don't know if they can win 2 of 4 because their next pitchers are rookie Devi Garcia, Masahiro Tanaka, and we don't know if it's going to be, Tanaka time, or, Tanaka out of time, no more time, bye-bye, Tanaka time over. Like, we don't know what it's going to be from him.
I bet you he performs.
I hope so. Jay, I am crap hap, and Jordan Montgomery, who, again, is super up and down coming off of Tommy John surgery. He throws a gem, then he gets blown up. He throws a gem, then he gets blown up. And, of course, James Rotten Maple Paxton is, well, he's hurt, so screw him. He's off the team at the end of the year anyway. He's a free agent. Bye-bye. So I don't know if the Yankees can win 2 of the next 4. Maybe the game with Tanaka.
Attitude we were looking for.
But I'm still saying, look, Tampa Bay to me is still the favorite. Tampa Bay is still the team until the Yankees, unless the Yankees, like Paul, they'd have to be another upset. It'd have to be another upset.
I love watching you try not to be optimistic and hopeful for your team. But
yeah,
we'll see where this goes. You heard it here first. The yin-yang of Lee and Ray Powers will bring one of his teams a championship, and my team in football a divisional championship with a 7 and whatever record.
Yeah, 7-8-1 or something. But you know what's funny is, and I'll say this again, all the Central teams were eliminated in the first round. So now you have divisional matchups in the divisional round: Yankees, Rays, A's, Astros, Marlins, Braves, and Padres, Dodgers. It's going to be very fascinating to see as we go to the next week. It'll be the championship rounds, because this week will be over on Saturday at the latest.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Also,
very
briefly, this conversation next week.
Yeah. Very briefly. Also, baseball's announced they're allowing fans into the World Series. They will allow fans at the stadium for the World Series.
Schmucks.
Because
just idiots.
They are just very stupid. Yes. But
just schmucks, man. Like, what are you doing? God,
yeah.
What are you doing? Dumb.
Yeah.
Just a dumb move, man.
Yeah. Well, I think
it just makes the NHL look even better. That's all it's doing.
I think it's because also they're doing it this is the reason why they're doing it in Arlington, Texas. It's the brand new stadium, and I think it's a chance for the Texas Rangers to try and recoup some of the losses that they've had after building a brand new stadium in Arlington.
Yeah, it's ruined people's lives. You're right.
Well, no. That's not what I said.
I'm being sarcastic.
No. I don't agree with it either. I'm just saying for the Texas Rangers owners, and this is very fitting of, rich baseball owners. Yeah, they don't care as much. They care about the bottom line and don't care about people. So there you go. Again, I am not condoning this. Do not.
I got you. I'm with you.
Yeah, like I am just stating the facts, unfortunately. And also speaking of people's lives, just very briefly want to touch again another sad note. This has kind of become a weekly occurrence, unfortunately. Legendary Cardinal pitcher Bob Gibson.
Yep.
Just after Lou Brock passed, he was 84. Bob Gibson, one of the greatest pitchers of all time. Just absolutely dominant again. 2-time World Series winner with the Cardinals, 64 and 67, just like Brock. Another key part of that, those championship teams, and just very, very sad. And our condolences to his friends and family, and to all baseball fans, as this has just been, especially for the Cardinals, just one heck of a terrible week for you guys. I am so sorry.
Well, look, here's what we do. If you don't know who that Bob Gibson is, look him up. Look him up, read about his life. It's worth the 15 minutes. That's what I'm suggesting to everybody. It's an amazing baseball life, an amazing life in general, and he deserves 15 minutes of your time.
Yeah. No, that's very well put, Lee. Yeah. So our condolences to again his friends and family, and to the fan base of the St. Louis Cardinals, who, you'll lose Lou Brock, Bob Gibson, and you get bounced from the playoffs all in a matter of 7 days. It's not a good week for them. So moving on now to the XFL, something that's
no.
Yes.
Moving on to the
XFL. Yeah, they put out a promo this week, a new beginning. They are saying spring 2022, which I think is a fair target for when they are looking to come back.
You can always move that.
And that is also true, but they are still, for the love of football. The Rock and the other owner of the league co-narrated the promo. It was brilliantly done. Lee and I are excited.
It's his ex-wife.
That's right. That's what I thought. Right? Like, yeah. So, absolutely terrific news there.
Yeah, it's amazing because we followed the XFL pretty strongly, and then when it went under for a minute there, we this glimmer of hope of maybe someone will buy it.
Yeah.
Did not expect it to be The Rock. Was ecstatic, and he is totally understanding exactly what they need to do with this brand.
Yes.
And I'm so happy. And when he does his stand-ups now at home, the helmets are in the background. He's all about this. This is not just something he did as a mercy buy.
Yeah.
I am very interested to see what The Rock does with this, because I think The Rock is got his eyes on a political career in the future.
Yes.
I really do believe that, and I think that he is doing lots of different things to continually up his branding, up his ante, up his everything about who he is, and he's traveled the world. It's just a very interesting move. I'm looking forward to The Rock. The Rock loves football, loves it. All right. He also has a drive because he never quite made it to where he wanted to be.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to see what happens, and apparently making the show Ballers reality. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, super excited. Again, The Rock is an amazing person, and for what he's doing with this league, it's just I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. Again, go New York Guardians. Excited about them.
DC Defenders.
Well, who knows? Maybe you'll have a Philly team when they come back.
We won't.
Yeah, I know. Probably not. They're going to keep it with the 8 teams at least for the.
We're already rough on the Eagles. What do you think we would do to an XFL team? Crazy.
Actually, you guys would probably be pretty bad. Yeah, you guys would be pretty bad.
It just wouldn't. I mean, it doesn't matter who's bad. If the Eagles are winning or the other team's winning, it's just Philly's fine with 4 major sports. All right, we have our soccer team and stuff too. Just
and your esports team, right?
Yeah,
your Overwatch League team.
There you go. Yeah, just keep it simple here. Nobody hates Philadelphia more than Philadelphia Knights.
What is it? The Philadelphia Fusion? You guys are still one of the best teams in Overwatch.
I know, and nobody watches here. It's devastating. And then we have the Union as well. So
nobody cares about soccer. No, I'm joking.
A lot of people care about.
I know they do. I'm
recovery.
joking. I know. I'm joking. Go New York City Football Club. Anyway, because I'm not rooting for a team called the Red Bulls.
He just did it. He just did it, everyone. You heard it here first.
What?
No, I'm just kidding. Red Bull FC.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of. I'm so glad that they actually have a team now at Yankee Stadium again, like the New York City Football Club. I will root for them. I'm not rooting for a team called the New York, New Jersey Red Bulls. Give me a break. Anyway, moving on. That does it for sports. But speaking of The Rock, The Rock has been in a Disney movie. He was, of course, in.
Can I say except you're welcome?
Exactly. So, I wonder. I mean, they should do that as a live action because then The Rock could just be himself as he reprises the role.
Every phenomenon.
Yeah,
Sky, the earth, the ground. That was not just messing around. Right,
so, but
I buried its guts. Spire the tree, now you have coconuts. What's the lesson? What is the takeaway? Don't whisper that way. He's on a breakaway. Okay, I'll stop.
Lee has children.
So, 2 of them.
Yeah. But a couple of interesting things happening this week with Disney and Disney Plus. The first thing, Disney Plus added Group Watch to their service, which is a big deal. So this week you can watch and comment with your friends at the same time, and anybody who's watching can pause, start, continue.
Yeah, it streams in sync with anybody else that you're watching. That's the idea. You can have a few people in the room with you, or not in the room with you, I should say.
Right. It's as if you're watching it, but you're all watching from different locations. That's a great idea. But also, we talked about this before on the show. Mulan was added to Disney Plus. And this is actually a really big deal for the movie industry. Now the movie itself has gotten middling reviews. People are like, it's okay, right? Like, it's not. Yeah. People were kind of. Yeah, there was a lot of controversy around it because of the actress supporting Hong Kong police, and that's a whole other thing that we're not going to get into here. But
I don't know enough about it.
Yeah, I know a lot. It's a situation. There's a lot going on with it, but the other thing is, of course, a lot of people were mad that there was no Mushu, there was no music, that they felt it was more of a realistic take on what this movie. It was
an action film.
Right, exactly. And so people were kind of disappointed, but it was good for what it was. The message was still there for the most part. But interestingly, the movie did pretty well in terms of making some money for Disney. Better than Tenet did in the theaters. So this is going to be interesting, as we've already now heard that Regal and Cinemark and other theaters are not going to reopen now for the foreseeable future. If they're not going to be completely gone altogether. Yeah, it's interesting as the theater industry continues to struggle, and Disney's Mulan showed that you can still make money by just doing video on demand. Although the $30 price point is still something to be questioned and is still something to be worked out.
It was $25.
Was it $25?
It was $25.
Oh, that's even better. I still think it might be a little pricey, but that's
so. Here's the deal. This is how you look at it. Most new releases on Apple or streaming are $19.99.
Mm-hmm.
This was $25, and then you get to keep it for the duration you have Disney Plus. Okay, we did get it here as well because, as predicted, most people with kids were willing to make the investment to get this brand new movie. And again, I know a lot of people get to, we had some people on the page say people don't know how people are suffering and things like that. People will do anything for their kids. All right. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about someone who can't afford food. That's a totally different situation.
Right.
Totally, they probably don't have Disney Plus to begin with. Okay.
That's also
so, and that's not good. Right. So my point is, you can make any metaphor you want. This was a test. It was a movie surrounded with controversy, mixed reviews, and it outsold the theater. Thus proving if this continues in this manner, this is the foreseeable pathway for the future for movie releases.
Yeah.
Bill and Ted also did excellent as a streaming movie.
Excellent.
Going to see this more. Excellent. Bodacious. That's a totally different thing.
Sorry.
But this is my point. And again, we had some doubters on this page. And I remember saying, I'm not 100%, but I think this is going to work. And it's working. And the theaters are going down. They had no bargaining room. We said this too. They were stupid to try and bargain with the other places thinking outside the box. No creativity, no ingenuity. And it's coming to pass now. So we will see what happens. I do think the movie industry will rise again in theaters. The big question now is, will Marvel continue to hold out from releasing Black Widow? I believe they will for now to see if a vaccine is available soon or after the election. They did push their movies back again. They will not do that a third time is my prediction. You will start seeing these on streaming services. I will absolutely pay $25 to get Black Widow any day of the week. Yeah. Right? And every other Marvel movie after that. Yeah, so that's where we're at. It worked not as well as they wanted to, but they also had everything in their way for keeping it from working. Yeah. So I think you're going to see this moving forward a bit more.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think this is the future, folks. I mean, it's unfortunate. I mean, I think this is going to be the future at some point anyway. It's just been accelerated because of circumstances. And I think that, unfortunately, I think this is here to stay. I think this is something that a lot of companies are now going to consider strongly.
Yeah, till the virus ends, for sure.
Yeah, but even going forward, right? Universal struck the deal with AMC that, instead of a 90-day exclusivity window, it's 2 weeks. Right? So this is going to be a big deal for movie theaters going forward. Again, we talked about it. They need to renovate. They need to do something to get people back to the theater once the virus ends.
Create an experience.
Exactly, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do. Other movies, speaking of other movies, also just need to briefly mention this again. Another movie that I would pay for if they were to release it on demand is No Time to Die, which is the next James Bond movie. Of course, that's not Disney. That's I'm not sure who that is actually. But unfortunately, they are instead also looking to try and keep it in theaters, and they've delayed it again. This time from Thanksgiving to Easter, so they're looking at a April 2021 release now. And again, it goes back to this point where it's just kind of sad that just give me the movie. It's done. Just give me the movie already. I'll pay the $25. Give me the movie.
Well, they want to have it in the theater for lots of different reasons, and a lot of it's on the directors. That's why Tenet came out in the theater, because Nolan said, "You're not releasing this any other way." And again, we talked about this. There's going to have to be some rethinking from the traditional way of thinking. This is reality.
Yeah.
Okay. This is reality right now, and you can't hold on to the past forever if things don't change. So again, theaters will come back in some form, but things have changed. You're better off embracing it than fighting it. History shows that as well.
No, it's very, very true. It's very, very true. Moving on, still talking about movies and talking about comic book movies. We've been talking about Disney a lot. We're going to get back to Disney and some other stuff in a bit, but we also want to mention briefly DC. And something interesting, a trend that Lee has noticed, and this rumor kind of plays into that, is a lot of Marvel folks are starting to head over to possibly back to DC and kind of double dipping. The most recent rumor is Michael B. Jordan, which especially makes sense because his character's dead, is rumored that they want to bring him into the DC universe as Jon Stewart Green Lantern. I, for one, think this is a great idea. But Lee, what are your thoughts on this? First of all, especially because the last Green Lantern wasn't very good. Say the least.
I mean, if they do it correctly, absolutely, and it's a brilliant choice. I mean, again, it comes down to writing. It's got to be written correctly. It's got to be produced correctly. Yeah. Michael B. Jordan is a phenomenal actor. He's not going to have any problem playing any role in any atmosphere, in any form. He's built for this type of stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm all for Green Lantern coming into DCU, and I think DCU wants the Lantern Corps to be alive and well.
Yes.
Because it's a phenomenal storyline. The other thing, too, is that it's going to be interesting to see, like I said, a lot of actors going both ways. As you can see, my dog's also very interested in.
They are very hyped for
this.
the Green Lantern Corps and Michael B. Jordan. Yes.
But, we've seen Ryan Reynolds go back and forth. Mm-hmm. We've seen other actors go back and forth. So it clears up two things. Obviously, there's not a non-compete when you make a Marvel film. That you can't go to the other universe. I do think it's funny. I think it's funny when characters in the MCU that are killed off go over. Right, we've seen that with a lot of villains, like a lot of henchmen have been in both universes.
Yes.
I can't remember his name, but there's a guy that was in Batman v Superman, but he was also in Captain America: Civil War, and he just likes to beat up on the hero.
Yeah.
I'll do it. I'll kill her. I believe you. That was one of those. I'm a friend of your son's. I figured the cape. Horrible writing. There's no non-compete. It'll be interesting if they keep pulling actors though, because. If they get their writing game together, DC could come back. But again, I'm going to say what we said months ago. It's promising, but it's their thing to screw up now. I think if they stay on television, they'll be fine, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, I think also what'll be interesting with the DC movie universe, and I think that this is part of what they're doing as well, is that this harkens back to the Justice League cartoon, right? There was a very specific reason why they went with Jon Stewart in the cartoon, was they wanted him to be more of the straight man to the over-the-top and the Flash they had there. And I think that Ezra Miller very much is more of a comedy relief character. And I think going with Jon Stewart again and a Michael B. Jordan, not to say Michael B. Jordan can't do comedy, he for sure can, but I think that they'd want him to be more of that straight-laced space cop that is Jon Stewart, right? He's more of a straight man in terms of the play.
If you make the Lantern Corps silly, they're going to be silly, and that was the problem with the last film, is it's not silly.
No.
Like, the Lantern Corps is a very serious comic book, and, like, that's what I didn't get about that. The only thing serious about the last one was how they did Sinestro, which was actually not bad, you know what I mean? But they just messed everything else up.
Yeah, they completely did. It was, not good whatsoever, but they, there's potential here, and I think going with Jon Stewart, the most serious of the 4 Earth Green Lanterns, right? Yeah. I think that's a smart move, and I think that would be a good casting call. You mentioned Ryan Reynolds, though, as Deadpool. Speaking of Ryan Reynolds and movie trailers, this movie's actually been in development for a while. Another movie that's been delayed several times because of COVID and all other stuff. Me and Lee are super excited about this. It's called Free Guy, and it's basically about an NPC within a video game becoming sentient and kind of questioning.
He's an NPC.
Yeah.
So we think he's an NPC.
We think he's an NPC. Right. We think he's an NPC. Or he thinks he's an NPC. Yeah. But whatever it is, it ends up being he kind of becomes aware of the world around him to the point where he starts interacting with players and in a very unpredictable way. The movie's got Taika Waititi in it. It's got, obviously, Ryan Reynolds is starring. It looks super funny, super fun, poking fun at both the video game industry, but also... I think it's got a very interesting subject about AI and all the other stuff in there, messaging, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's kind of like, in certain ways, it's got a little bit of a Wreck-It Ralph vibe as well in terms of being very self-aware of the video game world and trying to save the world of video games. And I'm, for one, I'm all for it. The movie's now slated for a Christmas release, and I'm on board, especially if the most recent trailer came out, 2.5-minute trailer. So
yeah, look. I love that. There's two things here. One is I think you're spot on with this is like a live action Wreck-It Ralph feeling. That looks like what it's gonna be like, or where the film Gamer failed, which was a good movie, but it was too serious. If you know what I'm trying to say, like in the future, prisoners are used in a video game and they die and they win 25 games and you're free. I'm like, what is this? The Running Man?
Yeah, exactly.
But I also want to say that. I'm so happy that studios have finally started or continue to trust Ryan Reynolds with films like this, because he was horribly mismanaged through the early part of his career, had a huge hit with Van Wilder, which is not an appropriate movie anymore. Right. And then they continually mismanaged him in Wolverine and Green Lantern and R.I.P.D. And it's documented. He spoke up in a lot of these movies like, you're doing this wrong. You're doing Wade wrong.
Yeah.
You're doing Green Lantern wrong.
Yeah.
Listen to me. I know the source material.
He's one of us, yeah.
Right. And then I am 100% sure that he sabotaged to get Deadpool made because they never were going to make that. But then they released some of the test footage, which I'm 100% sure he did that.
Yeah.
All right, knowing his marketing technique. And now they're letting him kind of produce his own stuff, and he's a major star again. There was a time that we really thought we'd never see him again, and I was devastated because I knew what he was capable of. So
he's tremendously talented, and like the movie. This is the movie industry, and goodness knows I've seen this firsthand. Is that a lot of these executives just don't know what they're doing, and not even that they don't know what they're doing. They're scared to do something outside the box because they're comfortable in their suit and ties and in their office on the 17th floor, and they don't care about making anything good. They care about the bottom line, and that's the sad fact of Hollywood right now. And honestly, in a way, it's kind of good that COVID is really kind of forcing Hollywood to rethink a lot of things, because otherwise this was just going to keep on happening.
Right.
And I'm glad that Ryan Reynolds is one of those guys that was able to break out and kind of be like, just, again, shine the light on how stupid a lot of these people are.
Yeah. I mean, and again, Hollywood has a lot of problems top to down, so this overhaul is long overdue.
Yes.
You know, the other thing, too, is like this. Here's a movie none of you remember. It was called Great Wall. Right? And it was with Matt Damon. And they spent millions, and probably more than millions, on this film. And it was, no one asked for it. Like, nobody asked for it. Nobody saw it.
No.
And nobody wanted it. And that's just Hollywood going, it's a big action film about the Great Wall of China. And it's just like, why?
Yeah.
So, I think Free Guy is a perfect film for this time period. Looks great from the trailers. Again, I think there's a lot of unknowns in this. I think that trailer is only showing us the surface of the movie, and I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's going to be fascinating to see that and how it works. Other thing, I actually we should have moved on this earlier, but it's all right. We're going to get to it now. Going back to Disney, that's my bad. But we were speaking of, and it's something, again, folks, sometimes I'm on the transition game, sometimes I'm not. Today is not a good transition day. But we got a lot going on with, speaking of superheroes and speaking of universes and video games, we're actually going to talk a little bit about very briefly about the Spider-Man video game that's coming out, being re-released on PS5 alongside Spider-Man Miles Morales. And a lot of fans are up in arms, and I kind of understand this. They changed the character model of Peter Parker to look more like Tom Holland in the PS5 remaster, instead of the kind of a mix of Andrew Garfield and Yuri Lowenthal, and kind of looked like, who's the voice actor for the character for the Spider-Man in the game, who's kind of a mix of familiar but kind of different. And it just feels like pandering, unnecessary pandering, in terms of changing this character model in a game that was honestly one of the best games of the last console generation. Right. To try and resell it and try and get the people who might not have seen it already. And a lot of folks, and understandably so, I think it's just an unnecessary move to do this. Like, we don't need the Spider-Man to look like Tom Holland in every Spider-Man game that comes out now. Like, it's not necessary.
Yeah, I wonder what sparked the decision to do this. I wonder if it was a Disney move saying, like, he has to look more like that, or maybe we don't want Garfield to look like Andrew Garfield. I don't know if they were just trying to flex a little bit on the new system. I mean, it looks like Tom Holland. I mean, it's not it's not like a little bit. I mean, it's Tom Holland, minus a couple of things.
Yeah, I mean, and they didn't even scan him. It's just they're just using reference photos and stuff, which is insane.
You can tell. You can tell it's based on him. So it's interesting. It's weird. I mean, I think the Avengers game just showed you didn't have to do that. Yeah. Right? Because none of those guys look the same. But, to each their own. We'll see where that goes. I mean, again, my stance on this, Ray, is if that is the biggest problem right now in your world, God bless you.
No, that is true. That is true. It is a minor thing in the whole grand scheme of things. And I'm not going to get the game because I already have it on PS4. I will get Miles Morales, but I don't need to play the game all over again. And we'll get into that in a little bit about playing games all over again. Freaking Star Wars. Anyway. But first off, speaking of Andrew Garfield and other Spider-Men, they've talked about now, especially with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse, bringing in Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, bringing all the Spider-Men back. And they've also confirmed now that Jamie Foxx will come back in a movie, probably against Tom Holland, as Electro. Why? Why are you doing, I get the multiverse idea, but if he's going to be like the standalone villain, all you're going to do is super confuse people when you're trying to distance yourself from these other universes, unless you're pulling him in from the multiverse and he just stays for some reason. It just, I heard this and it's already confusing me.
We're also assuming, and no one's confirmed this to me, that he's going to be the exact same Electro that he was in that film. We don't know that. This might be a completely recasting, or I guess recasting of the character, not the actor, right? The character might be getting recasted.
If he was wearing green and yellow spandex with like the spikes coming off his head, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. I'm sure Jamie Foxx would not be okay with that, but here's the deal. The man's an
We
Oscar
learned from
winner.
Ryan Reynolds, give the people what they want. Green and yellow spandex.
I wonder if that's one of those things. Like maybe they're going to do a Deadpool kind of reboot of the character. Here's a few things. Like if this is a multiverse thing, because you're tapping on a few points here, don't jam multiverses down our necks here, okay? That's going to be a mistake. You can overdo it. And we always talk about canon. We always talk about source material. Well, comic books showed us that you can only use that so much before it becomes ridiculous, all right? And we learned this. Like, I always go back to the death of Superman. The death of Superman, which was a humongous comic event in the early 90s, didn't kill Superman. It killed death in comics because this was the first major resurrection of a character, of a character of that stature. And what happened after they killed Superman is comic book writers realized, we can kill anyone and bring them back.
Yeah.
And it really hurt comic books long term because it took away any of the threat. Like, anybody can come back. And then, DC did it. Marvel did it. Spider-Man did it. Everybody did it.
At this point, Spider-Man's died and come back. Batman's died and come back. Robin's come back. Captain America's died and come back. It's
the
ridiculous.
whole Green Lantern Corps has died and come back. So, it's too much. So, here's the deal. I know they have multitude. I know they have Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness coming up. Mm-hmm. If they do in one film little teasers, little cameos of everyone across the MCU, well done. I get that. Okay? But this is my thing. Marvel has been succeeding because they're not doing a multiverse too much. Okay? I'm okay with the existence of it. Let DC have this one. Let DC do that right because they know how to do that right.
They're the original. They created the original
in my
multiverse.
opinion. Yeah. I totally agree. I again don't know if this is going to be the same Electro as it was. I doubt it will be. I don't think Jamie Foxx would rehash the same exact character. I think this is going to be a new Electro.
I hope so.
And Jamie Foxx clearly wanted to do it. All right? Or he doesn't like to fail. I don't know.
Well, I think especially if you're a fan, and I don't know if Jamie Foxx is as a huge a fan as Ryan Reynolds or us or whatever, but I think like the idea of being able to own a superhero or a supervillain in this case, I think is a very tantalizing prospect, especially nowadays in Hollywood. And I think that, for whatever reason, I think it's good for him. I think if he wants Electro, Electro is an underrated villain.
He's an Oscar winner. The guy can kind of do what he wants. So,
yeah.
He just did Project Power, so he's warming up for that role a little bit too. So we'll see what happens, but I'm not against it. I'm shocked by it, but I'm not against it. We'll see where it goes.
It's got to be done right. Like anything else, it's got to be done right. And in this case, we do trust Marvel overall more. But this is also a Sony decision.
Yeah,
this is Spider-Man.
This might not be Marvel. That's what and like they're still going to bring Venom in too. So there's a lot and Morbius.
They're trying to cram a bit too much maybe down here with the Spider-Verse a little bit.
Yeah,
and
right. This is why Marvel's like, no, we just want Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You guys give your villains.
Yeah, for sure. Because that's the thing. It's because Spider-Man he's got as many villains as Batman does. Like he's.
I was gonna say, you have the Sinister Six now, if I'm not mistaken. Or you can have a Sinister Six. Okay?
Yes,
all you really need is Doc Ock at this point.
Which, if you want to get really crazy, you could pull in the animated one from the into the multiverse, into the Spider-Verse.
But I'm saying they've introduced all the major villains now, so it's it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, Venom.
Yeah.
Right. You got Morbius, who's not traditionally.
He's not traditionally a villain. He's more an anti-hero.
Yeah, you got Vulture. You got a lot of them.
Vulture, Electro. Yeah. If you wanted to go classic, you would need a Sandman. They've talked about Scorpion. They have Matt Gargan introduced in Spider-Verse. Right. He just hasn't gotten his suit yet. Yeah. So you could very easily and very quickly, like when you bring the Vulture out, you have him bring Scorpion with him and then give him a super suit, and there he is. Right. That's all Scorpion is.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens there. They're building towards something. I just hope they don't screw it up.
That is the question. Will they screw it up? But other things going on in the Marvel verse. The last thing for the Marvel verse, we have our She-Hulk. She-Hulk was cast for the TV show. Tatiana, I hope I say this right. Tatiana Maslany from Orphan Black was cast as She-Hulk a couple of weeks ago, and is official. She-Hulk is now going to be in the Marvel Universe. That should actually be really interesting. I'm curious to see how much they do with CGI, and how much, how much she stays as Jennifer Walters, and how much she's actually She-Hulk. Because of obviously, like, much like the Hulks, you can transform between the two forms, but unlike Hulk, she's smart. She does not devolve into a brute like Hulk does. No, and also, are you going to have Hulk in it at all? Are you going to bring in Ruffalo for a blood transfusion?
I've heard that, from what I've heard, this is very early on, but I've heard that Bruce Banner is going to be younger in this.
Oh, like a prequel?
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
But here's the thing. It's one of those things, like, I trust Disney if they're running this to do it right. And I also know that, like, there is a Hulk trilogy planned, but nothing has come from that yet. Yeah. So we'll see what happens here. That's all I can say.
I mean, and also, again, it also gives you the chance. I mean, if they do a prequel, you could possibly start laying the foundation for Fantastic Four, because She-Hulk is a friend of the Fantastic Four and all this other stuff.
Here's the thing with the Hulk family right now in general is Hulk's arc in Marvel's kind of done. Like, they didn't leave him much place to go from here.
No.
So, like, they're going to have to really reinvent a story. Like, his arc is finished. He's completed that arc. So, I'm interested to see if we're giving the She-Hulk in the Avengers too much more outside here and there. Unless they want to do, like, a Planet Hulk or something else.
They kind of already did that when they mixed it in Thor 3. And with the... God.
Ragnarok. So, we'll see what happens. Yeah. Like, Disney has my trust until they don't.
That's fair. All right. I don't know. I'm not as excited now that it's a prequel.
That's the rumor. That's the rumor. We don't have 100% on that yet.
You know what I have 100% on?
What?
Super Mario Brothers 35. I played it once and I won. It's actually kind of funny because I can kind of tell, like, just watch. So for those of you who don't know, Super Mario Brothers 35 is a free release, timed release for 6 months on the Switch if you have Nintendo Online. Very much like Tetris 99 is a battle royale. You are playing through the original Mario Brothers and getting as fast as you can, and the winner, whoever lasts the longest, wins. And people are eliminated as time goes on, and it's fun as you kill enemies. You can send them kind of like sending Tetris blocks to another person, send them over to another person's world. There's warp pipes. Pro strategy here: try to stay in the early levels as much as you can, because what that does is that it's easier to traverse even as people are sending you more and more enemies, and then as you kill them, you can send them back. So, like, a lot of times I would use the warp pipes to stay. I never left World 1. Now, some people will go to the water world to send bloopers after you, and I get that, but they're pretty easy to kill in the land levels. You just have to jump on them like anything else. Yeah. Bloopers are only difficult in the water level. Same thing with Cheep Cheeps. Those are the flying red fish. For those of you that hop out of the water sometimes, I might be going too much into Mario Brother lore here. But,
yeah. You're such a nerd, man.
Yeah.
Geek.
But, and also get coins. Getting coins is a pro thing, because then you can buy items if you don't have them. And also, the more enemies you kill, the more time bonus you get. The match I won, I had like 3 minutes worth of extra time, and I got to a point where I couldn't advance, and I literally just sat there until the other guy made a mistake, and then I won with like 100 seconds left.
Well, that sounds like a very Carcillo strategy.
And sometimes you just gotta wait for everybody else to mess up, because again, most people, they're not as good as I am when it comes to video games. So I kind of was like banking on that. So. And it worked, and so I got my win. But honestly, if you love nostalgia and if you love video games and you have a Switch and you have Nintendo Online, Super Mario Brothers 35 is a ton of fun. It seriously is. I don't know, Lee, have you had a chance to play it yet?
No, not yet. I'm looking forward to it. I think this weekend I might have some time to try it out. I kind of want to check it out.
Yeah, it's a free download if you have Nintendo Online, which is also super worth it, folks. It's $20 a year, and you get access to the Nintendo NES and Super NES library along with that. It's constantly rotating titles, but it is so worth it. And then you get something free like this every now and again. It's Tetris 99 is also still available, I think. Totally worth it. So, yeah. You know what else I played this week, Lee?
I'm going to guess it has something to do with X-Wings, A-Wings, Y-Wings, TIE Fighters, Star Destroyers, Imperial Class Star Destroyers, and Star Wars.
Yes, Star Wars Squadrons.
Yes, what a guess.
Yes,
Just first
Star
try
Wars
today.
Squadrons. And I'll tell you this, folks. It is one of the buggiest releases, again, by EA that I've played in a while, to the point where I will say this. Like, this is what EA's been doing with Star Wars now for a while, is that they make a single player, and the single player, all it really is, they did this in Battlefront 2, is to get you warmed up for the multiplayer. I will say this, the single player in this is much better than the single player in Battlefront 2. It was a better story. It made some sense. It was nice to get a little bit, but I was halfway through, and I'm like, okay, I know what I want to do. I want to know my loadouts want to be. I don't want to fly a U-Wing. I don't want to fly this. Like, I'm kind of like, just like, give me choice. Like I used to get in Rogue Squadron, and some missions, they're like, you have no choice. And it's like, also, the game is so glitchy that after the credits rolled and I beat the game and the credits did roll, it erased my data so that all the medals and all the stats and everything I had acquired in the single player campaign was reset. And I'm like, I beat the game though, and the game's like, no, you didn't. And I'm like, but I beat the game. I saw the credits roll, and it's like, no, you didn't. You have to do it all over again if you want the 30 gamer score for the achievement for beating the game. And I'm like, it's not worth the 30 gamer score. But I jumped into the multiplayer. The multiplayer is a lot of fun, but again, I'm much happier there because I was able to customize my ships. I like how I have it. I'm very good as a bomber. TIE bombers and Y-Wings I like way more than I ever thought I would, but especially because a lot of the main game modes, including fleet mode, is the idea of you have to take down an enemy capital ship, whether it's an MC-75 if you're an Empire going against the Republic, or obviously a Star Destroyer if you're Republic going against the Empire. I love making bombing runs, and I love yelling at people for not keeping my shields up if they play as support, because it's like, you morons, I am the tank, you are the support. Support helps the damage dealer.
I don't get it. I'm the most important thing in the game.
No. If your job is as a U-Wing or as a TIE Reaper, which is to give additional shields and act as a decoy to keep the lasers off the Y-Wing or the TIE Bomber, to drop their payload across the shield generators of the Star Destroyers and MC-75, know your role and do your job, and keep the TIEs off my butt.
Are you suggesting that people should work as a team in this game?
It is recommended. It is 5 on 5.
Oh, I get it. Red 5 standing by.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited that you get to play it online. Are you going to be playing this again on your Twitch stream soon? Because I think people would love to see that.
I was thinking of doing it Friday, but I might not do a stream on Friday now for a variety of reasons. But if I do it on Friday, it would be Friday afternoon. Maybe Thursday night. But I think I'm going to do one more multiplayer stream of Star Wars Squadron, because the first one was just single player, the first stream we did, and I
saw
think
that. You should all watch that on Ray's Twitch channel, because it's hilarious to hear him yell commands at Vanguard Squadron. Yeah. Get those ties off my butt! I mean, he's mad. You gotta watch it. You can go on his Twitch channel at Ray Bought Out.
Yes, the highlights are also on my TikTok at which is also at Ray
It's funny that the highlight was the one part that I actually got to see live.
Yes, yeah.
Get those ties off my butt!
Well, I mean, and some people actually enjoy it more, but it was kind of like, what if I was actually an X-Wing pilot? Well, this is how I would be. So
I wish they would remake Star Wars with you there now doing that. Because did it impact on the surface? No, did it impact? No, negative. The ties were on my butt. It just impacted on the surface. God.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder, we know there's got to be like a Boston planet from when Bill Burr guessed it on Mandalorian. I wonder if there's a Jersey
Red 5
planet.
standing by.
Yeah.
Right? Where'd you put the tie? Park the car and have a yacht, all right? I told you to go bomb. Did you bomb or did you bomb?
I tried to bomb, but it impacted on the surface. What do you want from me?
What are you, a knock?
Yeah, gosh. That was funny. Bill Burr completely did not even try to hide his Boston accent.
No, that's his whole act.
I know, in Mandalorian. I'm just saying, look, Jon Favreau, if you're listening out there, please, I would make a really great X-Wing pilot, I think.
Yeah, you'd be a great guest on our show, John.
Yes, that too. Oh, yeah, that too. And so also, we weren't gonna talk about this, but also now that we've got talking about it, very briefly, it just came out. I'm gonna because Lee, we could save it. We're not gonna save it now.
No. Go ahead, just say it. I'll give my reaction very quickly.
Jon Favreau is writing 6 of the 8 episodes of the second season of Mandalorian. I am super excited for this. I think that's gonna be great because I think that he knows what he's doing clearly, and he loves this stuff as much as we do. And so I think it's in great hands. I think this was a great story, and I think it only gives me more confidence in season 2.
What that tells me also is that there is a story that we are following now more so than just the episodic nature of the first season, where the first 2 episodes linked and the last 2 episodes kind of linked, and the ones in the middle were more storytelling of different. So I have a feeling there's going to be more of a streamlined story here.
Yes.
Trust Jon Favreau 100%, and I'm looking forward to the season.
Yes, no, for sure, very much so. Again, we are about 3 weeks away from episode 1. Right? Because it'll be 3 weeks on Friday, so 3.5 weeks.
I'm ready.
Yes,
please.
I am ready as well.
Give it to me.
Yes, so very excited about that. October 30th, Disney Plus, Mandalorian Season 2. Also, very briefly, should also just briefly mention other seasons. It was announced. I'm adding stories here on the fly, but I know Lee can handle it, so it's okay. Cobra Kai Season 3 was announced for January 8th, 2021. It's also, we're both very excited about that, so that is coming out.
Super
the trailer.
excited. Great trailer, too, by the way. You did a great job of just giving us just enough teases to be like, oh, wow, this is happening.
Yeah.
And then you want to watch it. Great job by the Cobra Kai crew.
Yeah, that is dropping on January 8th, 2021. The trailer is out now. Check it out if you haven't seen it. They also announced that they are making a Season 4 already. So for Netflix.
Training.
Yes,
Season 4 in training.
In training, as they put it, wax on, wax off. But I imagine that that was also probably part of the deal with Netflix, was that if they were going to acquire this and host Season 3, that they would also have to probably give them some more stuff coming down the line.
Look, when they re-release it, it goes to number 1 overall. You've got something there. So, again, credit to YouTube for making that show, and credit to the actors, Matt Zabka and Daniel LaRusso, whose name escapes me right now.
Yeah, William Zabka and
I can't believe it.
Ralph Macchio.
There it is, right? Yeah, so they really made this happen. So this is pretty cool. They pitched the original idea to YouTube, and looking forward to Season 3 and 4. Excellent work.
Yeah, no, for sure. Very excited about that. Definitely super pumped for that, for sure. So there's that last story on the geek front before we get to our question of the week. Back to video games. Very briefly, if you are a big Xbox player like I am, and this is part of the reason why I got Star Wars Squadrons on Xbox, even though it's broken for Xbox. I should have got it on PlayStation 4. Xbox is doing a special thing called the Xbox Hall of Fame, which is celebrating the best players from the last generation of consoles and getting ready for Xbox Series X. If you are amongst the best in terms of gamer score, achievements acquired, and they are basically awarding 8 Hall of Fame spots, what they're calling their Xbox Hall of Fame. And you will probably get a free Xbox Series X if you haven't already, since most of the best people in the Hall of Fame are basically now super influencers for Microsoft. Guys like Stallion83, who of course was famous for being the first guy to reach 1 million gamer score. I can tell you right now, I am not going to be in the Hall of Fame. I have a nice gamer score, but there are a lot of people who do even better than I do.
It's because they have no life.
I was gonna say if I don't want. They're very nice people, I'm sure.
They are.
But if
they are.
all I had to do was play video games all day, I would have a much better gamer score.
Absolutely.
Listen,
Ray,
I do pretty good.
You are in my personal Xbox Hoff.
Thank you.
Okay. If it comes to Xbox Hoffs, you are the grand Moff of my Hoff.
Thank you, Lee.
No problem.
So
that's the geekiest thing I'm going to say today.
Yes.
I'm okay with it.
But yeah, no, I'm happy just because I average about 20 to 25,000 gamer score a year, which is still a very good number. It's about 2,000 a month, but I'm going to fall well short of people who actually probably will make the Hall of Fame. So that's what it is.
It's not something to be upset about. I'm not sure being in that Hall of Fame is really a great claim to fame in reality. I know it is in the gaming world, and I'm really not trying to take anything away from people that would get that.
Right.
But like, to me, that's just not the Hall of Fame I'd want to be in.
No, it really is a testament, because I mean, some of these achieve, or the other thing is it's either a testament to how little much you do outside of video games, or how much money you're willing to spend on video games. Because there's a lot of games that are super easy to get 1,000 gamer score on. They're like a minute. They're like an hour to 2 hours to 100%. I've seen these games, and I have 1 or 2 in my library, but they're like $5 a pop.
Yeah,
so you're basically paying in a way to kind of get into this Hall of Fame by dropping $5 for 1,000 gamer score.
To me, that's not. I think there's better ways to do this, but that's on them to do it. It's also got to make money, and I get it.
For sure. It's a good promotion for Microsoft. It's getting people hyped. It's getting people talking about it. Again, I still think the Series X is going to be better than the PS5. I mean, it is in terms of hardware, but I think it's going to have a better generation this go around.
Oh, yes, clearly. As of right now, yes.
As of right now. But it's going to be interesting to see. So, interesting promotion there from Microsoft. If you have an Xbox and you haven't looked at it yet, it's all over the place. You look into it. It doesn't cost you anything to register, and all they do is they track your gamer score and be like, hey, you got this much gamer score from 2013 to now. And it's kind of like...
I don't want them to know my private information.
It's not your private information.
Take your phone out of your pocket.
Yeah, I know. It's like...
They're going to implant chips into me. Then take your phone out of your pocket.
Yeah, take your Xbox offline if you don't want... They already know what your gamer score is, folks. Right. It's just, them telling you basically up front. And honestly, gamer score isn't that big a deal, like in terms of like privacy. So no. I mean, I like it, but it's a personal thing. But it's not like I've turned anyway. I'm not telling you. It's not like my bank account is.
You
my
are in
score.
Lee Elias's Xbox Hoff.
Thank you.
And me. That's the only 2 people in there, and my son.
Yes, thank you. Yes, Logan is going to be a Hall of Famer. Is already a Hall of Famer in gaming. For sure, he's a superstar in the making. So
he is the best son I've ever had. It's true.
He's the only son you've ever had. Shh. Yeah, I know.
If he's listening to this years from now, you're the best son I've ever had. And if you do now have another brother, as of 2020, the best son I've ever had.
There you go. You heard it here, folks. Lee playing favoritism for the moment.
Totally. Best daughter I ever had, too, is my daughter. Ever.
Did you go? Alina, there you go. Oh, God. Anyway, so that does it for the geek section of the show. We're actually making really good time this week.
It's time for the question of the week. The question of the week. It's the question of the week. Yeah.
Okay. So instead of a mashup this week, we're doing a question.
You needed something. Come on.
I know, it was a good... Actually, you know what? I'm going to say this. I'm actually impressed at how good that was. That was much better than I expected than on the fly. You kind of just ad-libbed that out, and you pulled it out of your butt, and it was great.
Thanks. I can't wait till we get it into editing and make something crazy and fantastic to use in the future.
I can just imagine. Caitlin, meanwhile, is pulling out her hair because she's like, I have to edit this now into something.
Right. Does anybody else have any strange or fantastic transitions that we could use on our side?
Oh, goodness. So our question of the week this week is, which classic villain would you like to see come back? Obviously, this is inspired by Electro coming back into Spider-Man, but there's a lot of geek properties out there that have had villains over the years who in media and whatnot. And who would you like to see come back with a modern retelling or a new origin story or whatever in geekdom? What would you like to see return? Lee, this was as usual. You came up with the question. I'll let you go first.
So as normal, I have multiple answers for this. But if we're going to start in the Spider-Verse, I'd love to see Molina come back as Doc Ock. I think he was probably the best villain in the Spider-Verse ever. And that's nothing to take away from Green Goblin 1. He was very well received, but Doc Ock was something special. I think we would all agree on that. I'd also like to see a guy who was never given his fair shot is Paul Giamatti as Rhino.
Oh, that was one of mine.
Because he's a phenomenal... Right. I mean, he was a phenomenal actor, and we always saw him as Rhino for a minute.
In that weird suit of armor, Yeah,
and it just never got his full chance. Switching over now to DC, I actually liked Mark Strong as Sinestro. I thought he did a good job. I think the character was written poorly, but he really does villains very well.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen him in that role. I could have seen him holding that. And then, if we're going to go multiverse, I'll just sprinkle in Jack Nicholson's Joker. Wouldn't mind seeing him come back up once in a while in some sort of... In a multiverse scenario. So, I think that would be cool. I don't think it's going to happen ever, but those are mine. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more. I mean, it's not easy. I try to think of characters who didn't get their first shot. And Strong and Strong and Giamatti are my two for, I'd love to see them back again.
I mean, in terms of seeing villains come back, I would love to see a modern take on Goldfinger from James Bond.
Interesting.
That's one of my favorite villains of all time. In obviously another realm, I still think Gert Frobe. I think the way he played that, and it's still one of. I think it's still my favorite Bond of all time. It just had a little bit of everything, and I think so. I would love to see that. In terms of comic book realm, obviously I agree with you completely with Rhino. That was one of mine as well. I think for sure. I'd like to see Mr. Freeze, not necessarily as Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I think a modern Mr. Freeze take either what they did in the video game, similar to Batman Arkham, or
I was gonna say, they did a great job in the game.
Yeah, or something. Obviously, borrowing more from the cartoon, I think would be a great thing to see. I really want that for sure. Mr. Freeze is there, and I had another one, and I just blanked for some reason on it.
Well, while you think about that, I will state that a lot of people are probably wondering, why didn't you say Darth Vader? You love Star Wars so much. I did get Darth Vader back in a movie called Rogue One.
Yeah.
And then even in video games, he's kind of returned back to his hellish figure. And I'm looking forward to reading some of the more comic books with him. But that's a great example of Darth Vader was gone. They almost ruined him in the prequels, and then Rogue One brought him back to his murderous, selfish, hateful self that he is and needs to be. One of the greatest villains of all time. Ray, is it coming to your mind or not?
No, I mean, I'm trying to think. Okay. I mean, obviously, there's other great ones. Obviously, I mean, Sandman also in Spider-Man would need to be done better. We mentioned Rhino already. There was another Spider-Man one, and for some reason, I'm just blanking, and I don't.
Carnage, Venom.
No, they weren't. I don't know why am I had one, and it went bloop. Just
Hobgoblin.
No, maybe it wasn't Spider-Man. I'm trying to think, and I had it, and it just no. That's fine. I did that in Daredevil. I just I had one. I had another one, and I can't think of it right now.
Well, we want to know what you think. So comment below and let us know what movie villain you'd like to see come back, whether it's an actor playing a villain or the villain itself in a modern comic book film. Comment below. Let us know who it is. And Ray will think of it and comment below on this post, unless he does at the very end of the episode. He is completely beating himself up right now as I do a play-by-play. His eyebrows are up. The veins in his head are popping as he moves his glasses onto his head, wishing that I would stop doing this narration.
The thing is I've blocked so many of the Spider-Man movies now from my brain because a lot of them are not great. And I can't think of what I had. I had a good answer.
Is it one of the modern Spider-Man movies?
I don't even remember anymore. It's honestly
Goblin. It was Doc Ock. It was Goblin again, Sandman, and Venom. And it was Electro, Goblin. I mean, it's the same villains over and over again. The evil dogs from outer space. That was one of them.
No, I can't. I don't even know if it was Spider-Man now. I'm just so. Yeah, I had it, and it just went. Maybe it was Rhino. Maybe it was already Rhino, and it was
probably Rhino.
And
We're gonna go with that.
Yeah, and I for some reason, but I had another one, and it was a good one, and I can't think of it now. But Mr. Freeze and Goldfinger is what we'll go with for me.
Scorpion, or maybe it was the shark dude or the alligator guy.
No.
Not the guy with the one arm.
No.
Well. We're going to end this episode on a downer. Thanks, Ray.
Yep. Well, it's your fault. You came up with the question. I shouldn't have let you go first.
Listen. I can't help it if I'm good like that.
Anyway. All right, everybody. For episode 77 of Geeks Who Like Sports, thanks as always for tuning in. Be sure to like on the Facebook group. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter. As we coincide, we both drink the last of our tea.
Hey, ready? Clinky. Clinky.
Clinky.
Boom,
there we
clinky.
go. All right. And, I just cracked my leg. I needed to do that. I've been sitting in this chair for too long.
Thanks for watching Geriatrics That Like Sports. I'm Lee Elias. That's Ray Carcilla. We'll see you next time on episode 79 of Geeks Who Like Sports. Good night, everybody.
Next time will be 78. This is 77.
78 of Geeks Who Like Sports. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for listening. As always, be sure to follow us at all the usual pages. We appreciate it. And we will see you next time for more Geeks Who Like Sports. Good night, everybody. you.